Welcome to the Hummel studio. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Ruff, Gordon Parks and Tam McManus here with us in the studio. Thank you so much to you for your support. If you can hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel, we'd be absolutely delighted. Like, share and follow across all of our platforms. And of course, as ever, we're sponsored by CameronCommercials.com. If you're looking for a quality new or used van, then Sean is your man. Don't forget, you can go to CameronCommercials.com and he'll get you exactly what you require for your business. Martin O'Neill out of hospital, which is great news. We send him our best wishes, as I'm sure everybody in football does, for a speedy recovery. Looks as if he could sit out that Kilmarnock match though. No new signings for Celtic ahead of this game. Mixed fortunes for Scottish clubs in Europe. Rangers backline repeating last season's performances and mistakes, according to the manager Derek McInnes. Hearts hammered in Lisbon and Hibs leave it late in the capital against Skandia. I beg your pardon, I knew I was going to have trouble with that one. And Motherwell, will they earn a creditable draw in Finland against HJK Helsinki? There's lots to talk about on the programme. And don't forget also, we'll give you details coming up of Predictor. 3 winners in the Predictor coming up shortly, and we'll also tell you how you can win a kit for your boys or girls team. Lots of chances to win on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. So first and foremost, Europe, Ruffy, mixed bag?
Yeah, I think you touched on it there. I think most of the Rangers supporters were expecting a wee bit different this year. I think it was well known that Rangers actually, any time they went up last year, scoring earlier, they expected them to go on and kick on and win maybe 2 or 3. That's not happened again. You would have thought the wee break they got early on, they would have kicked on and got another one, but it never happened. And as you've touched on it there again, defensive frailties are there for everybody to see.
I don't think he was too happy listening to him in the after-match interview when you consider the manner of the goals. I mean, it's a cross into the box. It's allowed to travel through so many bodies. I think actually Fernandes just gets the base of his boot on it as well. It doesn't really matter. It was terrible, but then Fernandes slips for the cross, and even the cross, nobody's closing him down.
Yeah, well, it was a catalogue of errors from start to finish from Rangers. I think first half, defensively all over the place, which you wouldn't associate with Derek McInnes' team, usually quite solid and tight, hard to break down. Fernandes was getting linked with massive clubs in the summer. You're talking 10, 15 million pound. The 2 games that I've seen him, he's been dreadful. Dundee United at Tannadice, jogs back. I think that's been well documented. And then last night, I mean, I don't think the right studs on either. I mean, you've played under managers and played with people. If you've not got the right footwear on, you're getting a bollocking. He should have got that because he never had the right footwear and he'd be struggling all night to keep his feet.
You can talk about footwear, right, but it's anticipation and ability to sense danger, which is a fundamental basic for defenders. Gareth Ainsworth, when I phoned as a former manager of Fernandes, I spoke to him when he signed, and he had his reservations, and it was that. It was the focus, the discipline. He's got all the attributes. He's got the stature. He will score goals and penalties. He's a threat in the penalty box. But fundamentally, you've got to defend. You've got to be able to sniff the problem. Against United, there was a host of occasions where the ball came in the box. Somebody go and organise and go and command and go and lead. Rangers lack that again, and you can see it written all over Derek's face.
They're short, Ruffy. They need reinforcements. There's obviously a few players that they've been linked with, but right now, still looking at the wings. I mean, Yokota has been brought in. They need service into Shankland. And the back line, I don't know how he sorts it out, but he needs to do something quickly.
No, I think the only benefit of the doubt you can give them is it's early on in the season. I always think these European games come too quick for our teams. You want competitive games under your belt. Some of the other teams they're playing are getting their games. I think Derek just needs to suss out his best 11 as quick as possible. I mean, a home game this weekend, you would like to think a win would just spark something, give the players a bit of belief, because I think the Rangers supporters are now maybe not doubting 100%, but they're looking for this massive change that was said was going to happen with all these new players coming in, and it's not happened.
Right, let's make it that we're not this season going to be knee-jerk reaction after 1 or 2 games, because then it just becomes silly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm reading the social media, people saying, Derek's not the man and get him out and all that after 2 games. It's ridiculous. You need to give him time. You know, that's why Rangers are going through a succession of managers, you know, 5-6 managers in the last 5 years, because they got off to a bad start, the fans got on his back, they want him out the door, then they get another guy in, then it's just rinse and repeat. So, you know, Derek will, as Ruffy said, he will suss out his best starting 11. A couple of strange ones for me. Shankland, his captain, was dropped, and then was it Dan Neil was the captain? He got hooked at half time. You know, he needs to go with a captain that's going to be playing every week. I think if we all realise and we all acknowledge that if you've got a captain, he's going to be playing every week. Yeah. So that's just a wee thing for me that I've noticed, that, you know, the captain was dropped last night, Shankland, and then the captain that took the team last night was hooked at half time. I don't think that sends out a great message to the rest of the squad. Yeah,
when you're looking for Rangers to get back into it, there was one really good move where Finlay Curtis rattles it against the post. But other than that, you're not seeing, you know, are we underplaying the quality of Jagiellonian or Bierstock?
We underplay the quality of European teams that the name doesn't drip off the tongue year in, year out. There's a kind of presumption that these Rangers and Celtic, Aberdeen will go and run over teams like that. They're a good team, but expecting so much. Listen, Derek knows what he's inherited. He basically said it. It's the same old problems. I mean, they are playing against a team that are well organised, good physically, up to speed. Rangers have got the same old personalities that don't step up, and they require a young kid to come on again and light a fuse. Same as last season, the youngest player on the pitch was the guy that lit the fuse for them. Where's the responsibility?
I don't know about you, Ruffy. I watched the game and I thought to myself, you know what? Okay, it's 2-1. It's a poor result on the night. Derek won't be happy. He's already made his feelings clear. But I do think they've got more than enough to see them off at Ibrox.
Yeah, I think so. I think they squandered a lot of stuff round about the 18-yard box when you would expect them to be a wee bit sharper. And days gone by, you know, the away goal counting double would have been a bonus. That doesn't happen anymore. You would think they'll get goals in them. It remains to be seen how good this team are away from home. They looked okay last night, but the proof will be coming to Ibrox, front of 50,000, you know, and it'll be a hostile environment for them. It remains to be seen whether the present Rangers players can deal with it, because last year a lot of them couldn't. So there's a big onus on them to come away with a good win.
There's also, in the background, there's one thing that's a recurring theme that I think a lot of people are maybe not aware of. But it does come up and rear its ugly head when it gets to transfer windows, whether it's January or whether it's the summer. Rangers need to plug that gap financially between themselves and Celtic. And if you're in the Europa League, you know for a fact that even the Europa League has a huge gap between that and what potentially lies in wait for Celtic if Celtic were to get Champions League. Because if Celtic get past last, the Champions League money is enormous, and it just creates an even bigger gap again.
Yeah, the 49ers came in on the premises that they were going to win the Champions League. You know, they're all businessmen. They're not coming in just to put money into Rangers in a black hole. No, they expect Rangers, with the money that they've already invested and have continued to invest, to win the Champions League. So you're right, Europa League is a big drop. Obviously, they'll make some money out of that, but if you want to be making money as a football club, you need to be in the top table, and that's the Champions League. And Celtic have shown that. You know, getting in there, the riches are beyond your wildest dreams. So Rangers need to get into that arena, and they are a long way away from it at the minute.
What do you think the priority should be, Parsley?
I think you need to get Shankland playing. They've been crying out for somebody that's going to go and finish chances. You need to find a way to get delivery in. So that's going to require, I can't remember the last time Rangers had an effective wide right player. The left-hand side, you can go back a decade and more to Neil McCann, for somebody to continually put the ball into the box. They need to be more organised at the back, with somebody showing leadership to pull people about. I don't hear a vocal personality. I don't see a presence there. They need to identify somebody or bring somebody in that's going to give that, but galvanise the back line. But they need to make sure that they've got, as you say, a consistent starting 11, that get a cohesion and get your captain playing. Because why did you bring him in and you leave him out again? These games are massively important. You go away from home and you look for somebody that's going to be able to score you a goal. Shankland's your man for that, surely.
Give us your thoughts on it. Rangers fans, what did you make of the performance? What do you make of Derek after 2 games? Dundee United, the draw, and then this match. And what about his comments as well? He's not happy himself with the Rangers back line. And of course, listen, you could have interested, potentially, you know, chatting to call it what you will, but, you know, Rangers fans, like so many other clubs, want to see somebody actually coming in the door to bolster the squad, and one of them was Daisuke Yokota. And he'll take a bit of time as well to try and get his qualities there for all to see. I just think they've got to engineer themselves past this, which I think they will. And over and above that, I think, you know, they just need a couple of games. We'll talk about their league games shortly, but they just need a few games just to settle down into a style that Derek wants them to play.
Yeah, but you know yourself, we all know that you don't really get time at Rangers. You know, as I said to you, that's 2 games without a win, and all of a sudden it's a crisis. You know, so they've got Hibs at the weekend. We're obviously going to speak about Hibs later on in the show, but you know, I think that's a really important game already for Rangers. You know, you don't want to fall even further behind Celtic. You know, if they go down to Kilmarnock and win, you know, you could be 4 or 5 points behind. So they need to start winning games quickly, and along with that, he needs to get a settled starting 11.
Can I say something about the dynamic of the team though, right? And you both know, you better than anybody, who was the loudest person, who was the most talismanic people within teams that you played?
Well, probably the captain. I was just going to...
More often than not, centre halves, right?
Yeah, I was just going to say that I don't think Shankland's a captain. I really don't. No, there might have been a captain at Hearts, but not a team like Rangers who, with the demands that are set in there, he's going to have to not only deal by coming up with the goals that we all think he's got in him, but he's also going to have to come up with being the Rangers captain if things aren't going particularly well.
Give me the best captain in the Scottish Premiership right now.
I've got it straight away.
Go on.
Gojic.
I mean, I know they say Callum McGregor, but
I don't think it matters.
Callum's I think it's a pressure thing.
What do you want to tell someone? What is it?
I'll tell you, see when you walk in at half time, there's an extra layer of accountability, and that's why I'm usually know guys that you played with at the back, centre halves.
Oh, I knew who my captain
Fearsome,
was.
right?
All the teams that I played
What
with.
does it do nowadays? James Tavernier was the captain for what? How many years out of the 10 or 11 that he's there? That he was there. You know,
But
it's not as if
I think it's important,
if
Pete. I don't agree with you. I think it's important. The captain's important.
And he was a passive captain, right? And his success or lack of speaks volumes for how passive he was. What I'm saying is these two guys certainly went into dressing rooms with captain on the pitch. You made a mistake. You knew it, right? How audible are the Rangers players? And it's
They've not had that for a long
I know, but
time.
you want me to tell you something? When was the last time Rangers had?
No, they hadn't. No, since.
What I mean?
when they were winning things.
No, but they
There's
won.
no answer to that.
They won.
Richard Gough wasn't going to let you away with it.
Hang on. They won. I'm asking you this. I'm playing devil's advocate. They won under James Tavernier, and Stephen Gerrard was the manager, but he still wasn't what you would call the out-and-out leader. That's a long period. That's a decade. You go back then and you're looking at captains, you're saying, what is the captain? You're talking about Richard Gough. There's people watching this programme who weren't even born when Richard Gough was the
Rangers
captain.
won the league when the volume was turned down, and it's no coincidence, right? That's the truth. And the truth is that all successful teams, you can identify the base, and the base comes from somebody who is given on-field not only instruction, telling you encouragement.
Roy Keane,
right?
for example.
So you're wrong. Sorry to say it. Captains are pivotal within a team because what the captain does, he leads and other players follow.
I don't think.
Hold on a minute. He's sitting there and he's giving us one. Give me the other 10.
Take captains.
Yeah.
Currently.
Yeah.
And
Leaders.
okay. Let me just. The boy Spencer at Falkirk captains the team, and you can see them responding to him around him. He's barking at players. He's organising. He's pulling them about. That's what a captain does. Who's doing that at Rangers? I watched them last night.
Not talking about Rangers. Give me another 10.
Okay, I'll give you another one.
They're just not at the forefront at the moment.
I don't think.
Rangers.
I take your point
I think
on that,
Rangers need
right?
to play
I don't think-
football. See, instead of talking about a captain, I think they need to go and get players that can actually go and win the
take your
game.
point.
I don't think captains win you cups, but they win you respect. You know, I mean, they don't. A good captain doesn't have to winning all these caps under his belt because the whole team's responsible for that. It's not just him. He's the one, the leader, who, you know, that word respect. If you get into, like Patsy said, if you go into the dressing room and you know somebody's in there who's going to give you a bollocking because you deserve it. I don't think Rangers have had that for a long, long time. I don't think Celtic have had it either. I can't see Callum McGregor getting into a dressing room and bollocking people. No, that way. He'd probably do it a different way.
You don't need to bark at people if you're playing well every week.
Right now, we're in week 2 and you lot are questioning him as a captain, Lawrence Shankland. It doesn't matter a jot right now. Derek McInnes needs to get a half-decent team on the park. There's no point in bleating on about Terry Butchers or Richard Goffs or people from a bygone generation. He needs to get a solid defence, and there's no point in talking about the qualities of Lawrence Shankland as a captain. He needs a solid defence that stops losing the goals that he's highlighted, and he also needs a bit of creativity to get the ball to Shankland in the first place.
Peter, the problem is the person he has at his disposal just now, I'm not going to get him out the hole he's in.
You don't think so?
I don't.
Now, that's an opinion. That's the point, I think, which is relevant right now. I don't think the captain matters right now for Rangers. I think what matters right now for them is they've got to put behind them what happened last season and start to change their style of play, and also start to understand what it means to play for Rangers, which Derek McInnes does know about, and he has to relay that backed up with solid tactics to get results, Tam.
Yeah, he does, and his recruitment's got to be good. And at the minute, I know it's very, very early days, but is Ross McCrory an upgrade in James Tavernier?
Well, you know the answer to that, don't you?
I'll tell you right now, he's no, and he won't be. So there's one.
He's not going to get 140 odd goals.
Sorry to bore you on this, right? But when you were playing with Partick Thistle and he's your back four, and you went to play with Scotland,
Is the goalkeeper an upgrade, on Butland so far?
remains to be seen. When you played with a Scotland back four, was it a joy for you? Because you had organised, you had leaders, you had personality.
Yeah,
not to diminish what you had at Partick Thistle, but it was a step beyond, wasn't it?
Yeah, I would say so. When you've got like Miller and McLeish in front of you, or Gordon McQueen and Martin Buchan, of course it's a step up, but that...
Even audibly, you can hear them organising.
Oh, definitely.
It makes you feel better,
yeah.
it comforts you.
I know Peter hates us going away back, because we do go way back. The epitome for me was at Celtic, Roy Aitken. Roy Aitken walked into that dressing room, he's a captain. I know he's a captain, I know he's a leader, and I know he's going to make everybody get up to the level that he's at. All I'm saying is Lawrence Shankland hasn't done that yet. He's never had to do it, because he's now in a position. He might go on and be the best captain they've ever had, but at this moment in time, he's tested if Rangers don't start winning games.
You agree with me that your captain has got to play every week?
Listen, the other thing about it now,
Maybe one of your best players got to play every week.
I'm only giving you this as an insight. There could be some circumstances in the background that we're not privy to. That Shankland, that you don't know why he's made that decision. That's one aspect of it. I don't think he's at the forefront of why everybody should be thinking about it. I'm not against people relaying and relating to what's gone before, Ruffy. I get that, because you can only talk about what you know. We've got all generations here that can look back 10, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years of football, even more. But the point here, for anybody, just say you're 22, 23 watching this show right now, you're saying to yourself, I don't see many out-and-out leaders.
Let me take you to the present. Ashgard makes a mistake at Hurst's team yesterday, and it's business as usual, there's no accountability. Paul McGinn at Motherwell crabs his way through games and lets those around him know when they're falling short. There's ways to do it. Paul McGinn is a catalyst for what's been achieved at Motherwell through his personality, leadership, respect. These things have to be, they're part of the dimensions of a successful team.
Yeah. The other
do not have it.
The other big problem as well, and I think Bobby Mitchell, who has on our feed has mentioned, which I think is right on the mark, and I've been bleating on about it for years. Bobby says we don't underplay European opposition. I think we overplay how good Scottish teams should be in Europe now. The truth is, we're not much better than teams from the League of Ireland, Kosovo and Finland. And I think that's the problem, Tam. I think we are woeful. And I said to you last season, I said to you before this whole thing started, you watch us getting battered with teams that you wouldn't see in your way 20, 30 years ago. Our standing in football now is murder. But the other big problem we have, Tam, is quite simply, nobody's budging. It's just, let's get more money in. Let's not think about the structure of this league. This league needs to change.
Yeah, but we want to speak about this every week. It's not going to change, Peter, until the clubs decide it's going to change. They're the only ones that can change it is the clubs and the voting structure. So, we can sit and talk about the lack of quality in our teams at Europe. And you're right, I think the clubs in the League of Ireland are probably just as good as us now, and better than us. Kosovo, Finland. There's teams there that are 20, 30 years ago, you'd be beating 7 and 8 nothing.
Faroe
Islands and
Norwegian, right? And both games, and they were so superior. Right? There's a complete delusion The man that puts the post up there is 100% spot on. It is. We need to recalibrate where we are, and where we are isn't in a very good place.
Because you have to be saying to yourself as well, okay, Rangers and Celtic, I mean, McInnes brought 2 Scottish players for Hearts, yeah, but why are all our other clubs going to Australia? Why are they going to New Zealand?
He's an Australian.
I know, but why we delve in?
Everyone's Australian.
Aye, but why, he's playing in Scotland.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. He's brought people into Scotland, but
I'm just saying that because somebody will leather you within about a minute and a half.
I was a bit leather on so
That's not what I meant. I meant he's brought 2 Scottish players that have been playing in Scotland.
Yeah.
But all our other clubs are going to New Zealand. They're going to Australia. No, what does that say?
So there's
about
also
our
a great
players?
experiment taking place at Aberdeen just now. They've created a Premier League select. So we'll see how that works out. They've cherry-picked, Stephen's cherry-picked what he believes is going to make his team better from Scottish football. That's an interesting kind of take on it.
Yeah.
Rather than go to English lower.
The other aspect of it is, I'm going to just quickly go back to what I said last week. Motherwell had 6 academy players on the bench against Hibs.
Absolutely.
You know?
Didn't have one Scottish player starting, but Peter.
No, I know that, but the players that they've got
didn't
there
have any.
are getting a shout in some of the games, and they're going to feature. Stephen O'Donnell when he comes back, Paul McGinn, they're going to have Scottish players in there. And Falkirk had 9 Scottish players starting in a game at the tail end of last season. 9.
Yeah.
So that, you know, I'm not being xenophobic in saying don't bring foreigners in. I think there's a responsibility for us to, yes, change the structure of the league, but there's a responsibility to say people are flooding to Fir Park because they like the manager's ethos, which is play good football. So that's the first thing. The second part of it is, I think there's a responsibility to say, well, am I just, you know, can I go? Is there a Scottish player out there that can do the job for us? No. And I think they're flooding it with a lot of players that you're thinking, what does he do that's different from another?
Well, I'll tell you, Motherwell's got a brilliant youth academy. They've got coaches there that go and work for the benefit of the club and not themselves. They don't want to become Jose Mourinho. They want to go and develop players and bring them through. They also don't have this pathway where it's getting passed to the side and it's getting passed back and it's all about the coach. The Motherwell setup is different because St Mirren's the same. Self-expression, they're changing the template. What do they want? They want athletic thinkers, people, that young kids that will go and express themselves. Whereas other clubs, that's not. It's about aggression, it's about centre-halves being big, who's the tallest, winning games, can you retain the ball, can you circulate it back the way to the side, back the way to the side. It's not. Motherwell and St Mirren will benefit from the fact they've got coaches there that go, son, what are you good at? Can you go and take men on? Can you go and show how good a player you are? That is not the norm at academy football. Academy football is where it breaks down, and that needs to be addressed. Tam's at the coalface of it, right? You know better than me. But whenever I see these teams play, it's more about the coach than it is the players.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask you this, Tam? What do you make of Benfica 6, Hearts 1? Now, I'm not for a minute suggesting, Tam, that anybody had any expectation of Hearts being able to take the scalp of Benfica, but I thought that was an embarrassment.
I don't think there was going to be any other scoreline in that, Peter. I think Benfica are miles and miles ahead of Hearts. I think 4 or 5 goal defeat was average. I don't think anybody expected anything else, Peter.
I expected them to lose by maybe, 3, possibly 4. But what I expected, because of the nature of Hearts, is I expected them to say, we've just been cuffed 6-0 against Sturm Graz. We need to bolt the back door and just make this a kind of park the bus. They were so exposed at times.
They're just missing key players. I just think they're obviously missing Halkett big time. They could have went and parked the bus and kept the score down, I get that, but they went and had a wee bit of a go. They scored a great goal in the second half. They were never going to get through this tie. It was a horrendous tie for Hearts, not for the supporters who went over and probably enjoyed themselves, but I just think you scrubbed that result. They've got Dundee United at home, I think, on Sunday, and that's when their season starts. They've had a hard run of games. They really have, and I'd love to be sitting here and slagging Hearts and slaughtering Hearts, but they've had a really, really tough period of games, and I see signs in that Hearts team going forward that they're going to cause teams problems if they can, cement the back door. But I see signs within that Hearts team that they'll be okay this season once he gets a couple of wins.
Peter will tell you good teams start for being
I know,
losing
I get
goals.
that, but they're playing Benfica.
Good teams don't lose
Benfica in the
goals.
Champions League last year.
You look at the World Cup.
Huge golfing class.
The games at the World Cup, the teams.
Still a golf. I think there's still a golf between Sturm Graz and Hearts.
That's what I was saying. You look at the World Cup and you look at the minnows in the World Cup, they don't even lose goals now. They're so organised and disciplined to say, right, well, we'll see this game and we'll take something if it comes along, and good teams do that.
So depressingly predictable. It's like every single season it starts in the same vein. There is very seldom do we get teams buck the trend.
Same with Aberdeen last year. How many times did they take last year?
Yeah.
You know, it's
Okay. Hibs. Boy, I thought they were lucky.
Boy, they were lucky. Difficulty getting over there and getting a result, that's the problem. And I think there's almost that kind of scenario weighing itself. There's a disaster waiting to arrive.
See, before you say anything, do you think they're going through? I think they're going out. I thought they looked all right.
I think they were definitely a step up from the Corsican team. They were definitely better. They looked handy on the ball. Defensively, they were quite solid. Obviously, Hibs got 2 late goals to win the game. It's going to be tough over there. It's going to be roasting over there. I had a wee quick check at the temperature. It's 28 degrees now, 38 degrees. It's going to be roasting.
Is it like the same time you played in America?
It's probably not as warm as that. But it's going to be tough. But Hibs need to start playing better. They won the game last night, but there's no cohesion in the team. It's like a jigsaw. There's certain pieces that are all in place, and there's other pieces that are missing. And they can't really put a 90-minute plus performance together. What I will say is, Owen Elding, different class.
Absolutely.
What about the flick?
Take that, his goal was magnificent. Take that out, his all-round game at Nick 20, just turned 20. Hibs are going to make a fortune off of him.
His work rate.
His work rate, his fitness, he's just clever on the ball, never gives it away. He's got an eye for goal.
Who didn't get pass marks then?
Who didn't get pass marks for Hibs? I thought the left back was poor, Mayer. I thought he was the new signing. I think he had a great game. Middle of the park, I thought Mulligan, I think he looks off the pace. Yeah. I don't know what it is. He looks a yard off the pace. Chaiwa was poor.
Were you surprised he didn't start Soto?
I think they're playing against Rangers. I think he's come on the last 2 games and been excellent. He's a big bustling target man. I think he'll play against Rangers. Yeah. I thought middle of the park Hibs were poor. But that's a 50-50 game now. But
what does Chaiwa do?
Chaiwa is one of those guys who's better without the ball. He's better without the ball. Honestly, see Chaiwa.
He's a bit like
He's better without the ball than he is with the ball. He's a
Ruffy, can you imagine?
That's the football show.
No, but can you imagine? I actually said to somebody, can you imagine turning up for a game of football, right? And somebody says, "Where do you play?" And you go, "Anywhere where I haven't got the ball."
I'll tell you a quick story. I played an opening game of the season up front with Kilmarnock. Couldn't believe it. Clyde against Ayr at Somerset. Somerset's a bowling green. 10 minutes gone, I went to take a throw in, and one of the midfielders in my team, who I'm not going to name, shouts, "Don't!" I went and I threw it somewhere else. So I went by him 2 minutes later. I says, "What's the matter with you?" He went, "Don't give me the ball. I can't take it now."
Wow.
Totally froze. Totally too much for him.
Like the George McNeil story at Hibs when I can't remember who the manager told him.
Eddie Turnbull.
Eddie Turnbull. George was a sprinter. He says, "We just want you to go out there and run. Don't go anywhere near the ball."
You do get players that are better without the ball. Chai was one of them.
Yeah.
Chai was one of them. But he's got linked with big money and big moves.
You're not coaching that with your kids, are you?
No. Right. No. But on the ball, he's got to be better. He was poor on the ball last night, Chaiwa.
Well, I've got Rangers losing to Jagiellonian Białystok. I've got Benfica thumping Hearts. I've got Hibs with some positives. Owen Elding, I agree with you. HJK Helsinki 1, Motherwell 1. What's your thought?
Oh, it's all going well, isn't it? You know, we've already discussed on Monday that the transition of the manager and the new players that have come in haven't changed at all. They're still persevering, we're building up for the back, and if they get caught out, they get caught out. But their style of football is good. They soak up all the pressure, and they're very, very quick on the break, and teams are finding it very, very hard to deal with that.
It's a smooth transition, Parksy, because we have asked him, Alfred Johansson, last week about this feel-good factor around Jens Bertolaskau, and he said, we will have great similarities. We've obviously got to try and make it a smooth transition, and his attitude was we still want to press, we still want to play the ball from the back at times, and I think that's the key to it. At times he doesn't have the linchpin, which was Watt coming and taking the ball and getting the out for them, but he's still doing it, and the Motherwell fans are absolutely delighted with the way he's going about it.
Listen, you take Callum Slattery out of that team and you take Just out of it, you've got the beating heart, really the creative kind of sparks. And what an opportunity he's got not to break things, just to continue. So impressive for 36. Kaz himself speaks so well. the message is getting delivered into the dressing room. There's no radical change required there. Just encourage them to what they're doing and keep that ethos that Jens had. What an opportunity is young kids coming through that look as if they're not out of their depth, that look as if they could push on and make a contribution. Motherwell's in great shape, and these results in Europe, they're kind of demonstrating that belief from last season's going to be a fact.
Motherwell's style of play suits European football.
It does.
They're the only club that you could look at and go, they will actually, I think they might do okay in Europe because they keep the ball.
Yeah.
You know, technically they're good and they play the right way. You know, you've got teams who go and just thump it up the park.
Yeah.
You know, and you think they're not going to do anything. But Motherwell, listen, they've got Freiburg. I think the next round, if they get through, they're
Goose is cooked.
They're goose. Aye, they're not going to beat them. But in terms of what I've seen in the last couple of games, you know, they play a European style of football and they're good on the ball technically.
Do they embarrass everybody in the way they've gone about their blueprint?
I think they're the best. They were the best team to watch for me last season in the whole league. You know, Jens Berthalaska got himself a good move on the back of that. But you want to go. That's how the fans are flocking back to Fir Park. You know, you see a style of football, you go, I want to go and watch Motherwell. If you're not at a game at the weekend, you'll go, I'm going to go down and watch Motherwell because they play good football and they're enjoyable to watch.
How good it must be for a manager to go into a dressing room that's been drilled, the habits are good.
Aye.
Usually, mate, the dressing room can be a carcass of what's happened over the last season. He's got a dressing room full of guys with belief. They're drilled into a system that they worked on day after day with a good manager. This is another stepping stone for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I fancy them to just edge past Helsinki in the return. The only thing I think you'll have a downside on is that how Timo Pukki was allowed to, you know, turn around 3 Motherwell players and rasp it into the roof of the net. But other than that, yeah, I think he was fairly happy with the second half performance.
Yeah, if you're away from home and you get a reasonable result, the players are believing, you know, that they can do it at home because they've seen what they're going to come up against and they'll be confident at home. Yeah, they'll have to keep that performance up, but you wouldn't expect anything less for them than now.
Yeah, okay. Give us your thoughts, Motherwell fans. And interestingly enough, starting this week, we've got a great programme called Fan Zone. Every week we'll be speaking to fans from the Scottish Premiership clubs and getting their thoughts on their team. Not only will we be speaking to them from their house, we'll also be bringing in fans, Rangers, Celtic, Hearts, Hibs in the studio from time to time and go out and get their thoughts as well, which I think will be really interesting. PLZ Soccer just giving fans a platform to voice their concerns, things that annoy them, things that are going well. And this week, to start it off, episode 1 is a very, very happy Peter Elder, who's a Motherwell fan, who was talking to me this morning. And you can see that from just after 6 o'clock tonight on our YouTube channel. Well worthy of a watch. And as ever with Motherwell fans, you know, the key line that came out of it, he said, listen, I'd transfer everything. He says, I'd give up a top 6 place this season if Motherwell could just win a cup, because it's been 35 years. You know, we are well aware it's been 35 years, Robbie, because Tam Cowan's been bleating on about it every programme that he got a chance to. But he would give it up just for a cup win. And you can tell what it means. Yeah,
well, obviously the cups, if you get 2 or 3 games, good favourable draws, you could find yourself in the semi-final. So they've been there before, you know, that and one of, in particular the League Cup, there's a lot of teams, not the bigger teams, seem to find a way to the semi-final or the final. So I would think that cup more than the other one.
Yeah, and with Fan Zone, Tam, we've just made one, obviously a restriction, because you've got to do that if you've got fans either in the studio or indeed on camera, is no balaclavas. It's just so that we can see who they are. Right. Yeah,
that rules out two supporters groups then.
Yeah, absolutely. Good luck to Tam's on his own Twitter, by the way. Let's crack on. Talking of which, last week, Predictor, we set the challenge out to you. Do you fancy trying to take on Ruffy, Tam and myself and see if you can beat us in the predictions of the Scottish Premiership fixtures? 6 of them. And then you get weekly prizes, and then you get monthly prizes, and you also will get the chance to win a car or £10,000 in cash if you finish top of the table at the end of the season. Well, we've had nothing short of a nightmare, to be honest with you. But with 24 points so far, Graham Lockhart, Sean Goodman and Andrew Kidd will be getting, they'll be getting some great merchandise sent out to them because they're top of the table.
24, so I take it they got correct scores as well as the predictions. But we won't be publishing the league table early on, will we? We'll be waiting a wee while.
yeah. For as far as you're concerned, we'll wait a while. It's well worth it. You can get involved. Get involved now. You don't need to have been there at the start of the season. Just click on the link that we've put in the feed and come and join us, because there's weekly and monthly prizes. Andrew, Sean and Graham, I'll be contacting you and sending out some prizes. Even if you're not top of the table, over the coming weeks and months, we'll be handing out some prizes as well, just for being involved in the Predictor as well. It's not bad, Parsley, is it?
Got a great quiz question for you if you want to throw in.
Don't do it right now. Do it after we tell you how you can get involved with Predictor.
Think you know Scottish football? Now's your chance to prove it with PLZ Predictor, sponsored by Lucky Tiger. Predict the results of all 6 Scottish Premiership games every week and compete against Peter Martin, Alan Rough and Tam McManus. Win weekly prizes, monthly rewards, and if you finish top of the table at the end of the season, you could drive away in a brand new car or choose £10,000 in cash instead. The PLZ Predictor, sponsored by Lucky Tiger. Click on the link to enter.
We're having a mare at the moment, aren't we?
Yeah, it's only the first week. It's plenty of time.
Yeah,
plenty of time.
Okay, from there, let's look at some of the things that have been happening ahead of talking about the fixtures. Don't forget, you can give us your thoughts on here. We'll be giving you our predictions shortly. But I have to say, I think everybody on the football show, right across the whole of the Scottish football world and beyond, are wishing Martin O'Neill a speedy recovery. Nobody's clear on the illness. He is out of hospital. Sean Maloney has confirmed that, that he's in good spirits. Not too sure if he's going to be in the dugout. I think he's waiting for Martin to tell him, but I would suspect that they might just sit this one out against Kilmarnock.
Yeah, I think you've got to look at your health more than anything else, and I think Martin's at the age now that the demands in being the manager of the Celtic Football Club would be immense, so if you're picking up any wee niggling injury, you should get it sorted out. But I don't think he'll not be a massive miss, because he'll obviously have something to say about the team, although he might not be in the dugout.
Yeah.
One observation is, when you saw the close-up of him before the game started on Monday night, he didn't look well. I have to say, that's the one thing you can't speculate about.
Is that not just a wee bit of hindsight,
No, I didn't. I thought, and I've spoken to people, friends of mine, that said the same thing. He did look a wee bit grey. Listen, he is a man. He's no spring chicken. He's got a lot of pressures on him. Thankfully, whatever is wrong with him isn't deemed a serious thing, so get him back in the dugout as soon as possible.
Yeah, I often think that, Tam. I mean, I did a bulletin in midweek, and because I didn't open my eyes as clearly as I should have, people were slaughtering me, and then one of my family sent me a text saying, "You all right?" Do you know what I mean? Hindsight's a wonderful thing when you're looking at somebody. They look great, they don't look great. Sometimes Ruffy and I look at you and we think Tam's on top of his game.
Which brings me to my quiz question.
Yeah, go on.
Answers on a postcard. What colour's your hair?
Yes, it's
Tell her, would you like it, mate?
Ask you this: have you had a facial again?
No.
Because
It's just a shave.
right, what, you shaved your forehead?
No.
You're looking really sparkly again.
It's just, don't hit the game.
Moisturiser.
Moisturiser.
Yeah.
No, get on to the Martin O'Neill thing. Listen, I was on social media last night. There's people blaming the board for him being no well. It was funny. There's all these memes coming out with Martin O'Neill sitting in his Celtic pyjamas in hospital, and Celtic are trying to sell the pyjamas and all that. So, listen, we're hoping, fingers crossed, that he's fine, and he's back in the dugout. But he's an elderly guy now. Let's not. He's an elderly man, and it's a lot of stress at Celtic at the minute in terms of people asking him every week, every day about new signings. So hopefully...
One of the problems, though, if you're really being honest about it, Roy Hodgson took charge again, and you had question marks about his vulnerabilities because of his age and his the potential stress factors being in that job. There will be questions asked when Martin comes back now about the vulnerabilities and what his kind of future is going forward long term at the end of the season. And if Ruffy says your priority in your life is your health, that question has to be addressed in all seriousness.
Listen, he's one of the fittest 74-year-olds.
Yeah.
He's up there with you, Ruffy.
Yeah, we don't know what it is. You know, it can be the minorest minor of things that you've just got to go in and get dealt with. It could be serious. We don't know.
It leads to perception, right? It doesn't. It's exactly what Celtic didn't want.
Yeah,
So
I think that's the point. Yeah, they didn't want to, something like this to sidetrack it all. But the other thing about it is he is effectively diffusing bombs week in, week out at the moment, and he's playing it brilliantly because he's just like, he's calmly trying to say, there will be signings on their way, but they won't be against Kilmarnock because despite linking Hassim Hassan from Real Oviedo, there's also been the other guy from Mika Bauer, not happened. So there's still, and there's another winger as well, his name escapes me, that they were interested in not coming. So they're still dragging along, Ruffy.
Yeah, well, they know they've got the deadline. The deadline that they know you would like to think that this board do appreciate when that deadline comes, there better be 2 or 3 players come in. The fans were going to have the same carry on last year if they let the fans down who paid their money for the tickets, the strips and everything. If they're let down again, hell mend them, because it's going to be detrimental to the actual team rather than them as individuals. So they've got to have learnt their lesson.
It's the same conversations. It's all dictated by the Champions League progress or lack of. That's where the financial imperative is. If they don't qualify, they won't get the players that they want. If they do, players want to come then and they'll be able to afford them. It's the same every single year. It's perennial.
But it's not as if they don't have the money to actually get them in now. I don't understand why they're even rolling the dice. They could have in excess of 100 million.
Yeah, and again they're gambling on the Champions League. Then they shouldn't be doing that. They should have 3 or 4 players in already, top players ready.
5 good gems.
Yep, who Celtic were linked heavily with in January as well, and supposedly Rangers are in for as well. So, yeah, I think Celtic need to bring players in before that game. It's okay domestically, they'll get away with it here, but the last will be a big upgrade for anything you're playing here. So, it's going to be, it's a 50-50 tie at the minute. Celtic have got it within their powers to make it a 60-40 or 70-30 if they go and bring in a couple of quality players.
Yeah. They've got 6 days.
You could press the repeat button and go back to this time last year. It's exactly the same. You can go beyond that again. It's exactly the same. Same mistakes, repeating itself, repeat.
Since 2004, I'll keep you right. Thank you to Paul Brady, who mentions as well. Exactly, Gajemis was the name I was looking for. It completely and utterly escaped me. So, with that in mind, Ruffy, as we look at the games, Kilmarnock against Celtic, no more plastic pitch. I think they're well pleased with the new pitch that they've laid. Should be in for a cracker. I'm looking forward to getting down there to Ayrshire.
Yeah, the evidence last year was early doors. Kilmarnock gave the big 2 what for. Everybody's saying, the other teams will appreciate it not being the Astro. But I'm sure the Kilmarnock players will be appreciating it as well. I don't think the majority of players like playing on that surface. So they'll be getting used to it as well. I think it'll be, again, I always think games at the beginning of the season are very tight, tough to call. And it depends if your big players turn up on the day, and certainly for me Celtic have got 2 big players I've got to produce, the 2 strikers. I think they will, and I think they'll win this one 2-0.
Neil McCann having to explain a few things away in game 1, and I think he didn't pull any punches. We enjoyed it as a 7-goal thriller. He didn't enjoy the 4 goals they lost.
No, I think defensively they're all over the place, particularly after not conceding a goal in the League Cup phase. They weren't playing great opposition, no disrespect, but some of the goals they lost were criminal, and I think it will hurt Kilmarnock having that new pitch. I think they had a big advantage playing on that AstroTurf every week, and I think when Neil McCann went in last year, I think their home form kept them up. I think at home they were excellent. Same with Derek McInnes when he was at Kilmarnock. They were dreadful away from home one year, and they were brilliant.
Isn't it? You look at Rugby Park.
I don't think it's a good thing for
Kilmarnock. At Rugby Park, you're putting the off button. You can't watch it.
I think teams struggle there on that pitch. So I don't think it's a great thing for Kilmarnock.
It isn't a grass pitch, though, is it? It's hybrid.
It's a hybrid, but it's
kind of.
But it's in the right direction. I think Celtic's a hybrid as well.
Is it?
Yeah. So I think this, Ruffy, predictor time. It's.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really tough game. I think if Celtic were to get a goal, I wouldn't think Kilmarnock have got enough firepower in them to turn that over.
Yeah, so you think this is the time for Celtic strikers to step up?
Yeah, you don't want to go. I mean, Dan will tell you he went a big part of a season no scoring and it affects you.
Yeah.
You know, you start up end on the bench.
Take it on. There's no need for that. Absolutely no need.
I did it in Dunfermline. I hadn't scored a goal to about the end of October. Right, I remember playing Queen of the South away from home. I hadn't scored for, I don't know, 12, 13 games or something. And the ball, I was a sitter, right? Bob just bounced to me and I bundled it in. I had it with my foot and it hit my knee and bubbled by the goalie. And I celebrated as if I'd won a World Cup.
Yeah.
Honestly, that was me off and running.
How does that affect you?
It affects you massively.
On a weekly basis, personally, in your life?
Oh, it does affect you. There's you know, you can score as many goals you want in training, but when you go a period of time without scoring a goal, and listen, I look at Celtic's new signing, Hawk, who the other night, and people are writing him off already after one game. You know, people are going.
He's in areas, isn't he? He's in areas.
If he goes 2 or 3 games without a goal, he'll start to feel it as well.
I played for an East Stirling team that never won a game for a season and a half. A season and a half, right? I also finished top goal scorer at Clyde when they played in the Championship. Guess how many goals I scored?
4.
5. So you're right. If you don't get on a run, it can work both ways. But I think you're right. Celtic needs somebody to step forward and start actually getting their foot forward, finishing chances and taking the pressure off the club.
2-1 Celtic, tight. Ruffy?
I went 2-0 Celtic, tight.
1 each.
1 each?
Yeah.
2-1 to Celtic.
Okay.
Tight game as well.
What did you get last week? How many right did you get?
1.
Right.
1, yeah. Rangers against
The only
Hibs.
way is up.
That's revenge for your comment, Tam.
You only get 1 as well.
Rangers against Hibs. They've apparently submitted a £6 million offer to sign Kuhayib Druech from PSV Rangers. Obviously, Derek's well aware of the fact they need wingers, they need width, they need creativity. So he's addressing that. I still think he's got to address the back line against a Hibs side that, I don't know about you, can you tell me if you think this, Tam? But as I was watching the game last night, I just sensed that the Hibs fans were on tenterhooks, and obviously I just got the feeling that the tension was as such that they were waiting to slaughter David Gray. Is that fair?
I just don't think it's a great atmosphere at Hibs at the minute, you know, and the Hibs fans are very demanding. I was there for 7-8 years. They're very demanding support. They want to see entertaining football and they want to see winning team. It's tough to marry the two in Scotland. I think there's only maybe one that's done it in the last 15-20 years, and that was Tony Mowbray, who played that style that the Hibs fans wanted to see and was successful. But
Neil Lennon?
I don't think they played great football. I think Tony Mowbray's team, Hibs team, played better football, but Neil was successful, which is good. But yeah, I just think there's a section of the Hibs support. A couple of my mates are big Hibs fans. They don't see it with David Gray, and they're waiting for him to falter or lose a couple of games, and they're going to go, right, that's enough, that's plenty. So David needs to keep winning games at the minute. They got the win last night, didn't think they were great. Tough game away to Sunday after losing the first opening game against Motherwell. If they lose away to Rangers, the pressure piles on them again with a tough away trip in Europe. So I don't think he's under serious pressure, but I just think there's an undercurrent amongst the Hibs supporters at the minute that they don't think he's a man for the job long term.
Yeah, I sense they're on that edge, Ruffy, waiting to slaughter him, and I don't think that's healthy. But listen, you cannot be negative about it. OK, O'Hara was rather fortuitous when the ball bounced a yard out in his path and he scores the winner. But there are some positives there from them. The only thing I would say was a nightmare was the manner of the goal that they lost against Skendia so soon after scoring Owen Elding, putting them in front. But nevertheless, I think the greater pressure on this one is Derek. Not happy with the 1-1. And he'll certainly want a home win for him in his Scottish Premiership debut as Rangers manager at Ibrox.
Yeah, this is the big one. I mean, they played friendly games at Ibrox, but this is the big one. This is the one where the majority of supporters will say, right, show us where we're going here. Show us, are we going on a run? Are we going to be up there challenging? No, this is the one where the new signings have got to produce the goods, because we've said it on numerous occasions when there's a full house there and things aren't going well, there's a few players in that Rangers team just take a wee bit of a back seat. It remains to be seen if this is different this year, if this is different. If they go in front, yeah, they're on a roll, support's right behind them, players all want the ball, so it's important that they go ahead. I think the problem
domestically.
Yeah, I think with Gray at Hibs, I think last year was an in and out. You know, there was no consistency, there was no run, and then it would be a good result, and everybody would go, oh, great, and then there'd be a bad one. So, I agree with Tam. I think if you get 19,000 supporters going every week, they want success, and they want to see it now. They don't want to be waiting any longer.
Rangers 2, Hibs 1's my prediction.
I went Rangers 2, Hibs 0.
Opening day on that surface, Hibs deliveries are decent. The boy they signed that can produce for the left. One each.
Again,
Pressure. And Rangers, can they cope with the pressure?
2
You'd
draws
have
you've
to
got
prove
for
people
Parks.
wrong to do that.
Okay.
Problems.
I'm going to go for 2 each, Peter.
Yeah, 2-2.
I've seen Rangers at the back in the last 2 games, and I think they're there for the taking.
What do you think David Gray's message is?
There for the taking. I think that Welding and Boyle and Soto, I think Hibs have got goals in them at Ibrox. But I'll go for 2 each.
I'm not going to question you on your 2-2. I think it's a great insight from you. I think you're showing a tremendous amount of maturity, because last week I slaughtered you. I mean, what?
Yeah.
And I was right with the Celtic game there.
No.
I was right with the Celtic game as well. I said they'll struggle, and maybe I think I went for 2-1 Celtic. I said because Dundee's been playing competitive games, Celtic haven't. I was right with that as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, 2 each.
Yeah, okay. Tam's going 2 each. Give us your thoughts on that. Do you agree with them? I didn't do my usual wit, as if to say you're...
What are you going for? 3-0 Rangers?
No, I've gone 2-1 Rangers, and Parks gone a draw. So there you are there. Motherwell against Falkirk. Now this has got the makings of a right good game. You're going to it, Parks, aren't you?
The only team that
I'm actually
Motherwell never beat last year.
That's true as well. Falkirk, I watched on Saturday there. Worry for them. They have to get that John McGlynn message into their system and into their play quickly, because it was a disjointed kind of...
Missing 2 big players, isn't they?
Huge, and a club like Falkirk just can't afford that. They look as if they've got too many of the same type. Need to bring something physical, a physical edge up front, because they got nothing to hit.
I like Sibbald.
Ran the game for spells.
Yes.
He did, but you've got nothing to hit. You've got the width there still. It just looked as if John McGlynn needs time to go and get the message through and try and drill them into what they should be.
He's still to get the odd loan signing that he pulls out of the bag.
Absolutely. So you would never discount Falkirk. I just watched them and I thought they looked as if they weren't reading for the same sheet.
Here's the thing, Robbie. Do you think? And by the way, there's a million, and fair play to everybody. As long as you can earn a living out of it, there's 1,000,001 podcasts, 1,000,001 YouTube channels that you can watch. But do you think that the majority are now just pandering to a generation that just want sack him or back him? He's rubbish. He's good. Do you think there's a kind of it's a constant knee jerk? 2 or 3 games, don't get a win, he needs to go. You know what I mean? I don't know whether some people are just pandering to the lunacy, rather than saying, last year we were, and I have said it, I think St Johnstone might toil, but then again straight away, and I include myself in maybe being guilty of it, straight away St Johnstone looked, we're up for the fight. They're taking the game to Kilmarnock. I don't want to write off anybody too quickly, but I think, people are saying St Johnstone, some people are saying Falkirk, just based on...
I wouldn't say Falkirk did in the bottom 2. I think they might struggle to get in the top 6. As you have said there, they've lost 2 very important players. They're not a surprise package now. Everybody knows their strengths. They want to go and attack, and the defence they can be a wee bit vulnerable. So I think it's going to be a hard season for them this year, but I can't see them being in any trouble.
I can't see Motherwell having the same problems they had last season with them. I think they'll take them.
Yeah, plus I think the boys' side couldn't problems with his visa and didn't play in the last night, so I think they'll come back into the team. I think Motherwell will win this. I'm going to go for 2. I'm going to go for 3-1 if Motherwell.
You're just going to copy everything?
No, I was going to go 2-1, but I just think I think Motherwell have got Maswanisi back as well. 3-1.
3-1.
2-0.
2-0. Ruffy?
2-1 Motherwell.
Okay. Hearts against Dundee United. Now, again, I'm cockcanny here with what I'm going to say, but Wouter Vranken, if he's worth anything, he's got to try and sort out the back line. They're all over the place, Ruffy.
Yeah, he has. That he'll know that. I don't think he needs us to tell him the past 2 scores that they've had. That's been horrendous. Again, he's getting a home game, full house, supporters demanding where they were last year. They want to be up there. They want everybody talking about how good they were and how the fans are great and the board's great and the players are great. But you only get that if you win games. So the home games for him are as crucial every time they play.
Well, Jim Goodwin got a trick out of his team and they battled away. His biggest problem shortly could be Anderlecht or Blackburn Rovers stealing Will Ferry.
Again, astounded at Celtic not taking him. Astounded that they're not interested in him. I think he's tailor-made for Celtic in terms of backup for Tierney.
You're getting him for nothing as well, almost.
You're getting him for £2 million. It's just... Anyway, yeah, I was pretty impressed with United against Rangers at spells. I think this is where Hearts start to turn it. I'd fancy Hearts strongly in this game. On Sunday, I think they'll start to turn it at Tynecastle. They're playing against an opposition that I think they're better than. So I'm going to go for Hearts to win 3-1.
I'm going to go 2-2 the draw, Parksy. What about yourself?
Tam's convinced me, I think. Yep, you go and set your stall out positively at home. I think they win 1-0.
Yeah. The drummer says Parksy top scorer with 5 goals.
True. It's a start,
I wouldn't have told anybody that, and he's got a cheek to slag off other teams. Remember,
How
drummer.
many goals did you score? What's his name?
No, don't give us the old shows your medals crap.
See if you're prepared to give stats that humiliate you.
I know, but my point, I was going to defend you. Do you want me to defend you?
On you go.
In a kind of a sane manner. Drummer, don't worry about it. There are lots of people who are pundits who are right across every broadcast you can think of, and some of them you're thinking, listen, football's a joy. We all get a chance to have a pint, have an opinion. Some you like, some you don't. That's the joy of it all.
A good guy to have a pint with, Parksy.
I was wanting to ask
Drummer.
Park.
Yeah.
Right.
A good guy to have a pint with.
Right, okay. By the way, do you want any more than that?
No.
No.
I was going to ask Parky what medals it got at Clyde. You were saying don't start throwing medals.
Well, do you know what?
No, it's that kind of
Right,
catch.
drummer. I won 2 BP Youth Cup finals in a row, right? So I've got one. So is your medals, drummer?
Yeah, absolutely. Well done.
Drummer will come back.
By the way,
BB.
And I won the Texaco Cup in Colorado, so have that and all.
Can I just say something to you? I give you this as that same type of conversation happened many, many years ago on Radio Clyde when an articulate and intelligent gentleman called in to put a point across which the panel didn't agree with. And one of them then quipped, "And who have you played with anyway to, lay on us such an informed opinion?" And he said, "Well, my name is Jim Craig and I've won the European Cup with Celtic, so hang on to that."
That's the same. Wee Betty, the late Bertie Auld in the corner would go, "Have you got one of them?"
That's right, wasn't it? So he did.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fantastic. Anyway, have we all given our Hearts score? Yeah.
Yep.
2-1.
To Hearts. Okay. Dundee against Aberdeen on the Saturday. Now, Stephen Presley and then Stephen Robinson. This one is a tough one to call, by the way, because, as Parksy mentioned, there's a new thought process up at Aberdeen, and certainly with Stephen Presley, I think Stephen even knows it's going to be just as tough this year, but he's hoping that somehow before that window closes, he can find another Cammy Congreve and a new Gan.
Yeah, I was impressed with Dundee against Celtic. I thought they were excellent. I thought the distances between the team was good as well. I thought they defended well and they created a couple of opportunities. I thought they looked fit, they looked strong, organised. This is a tough one to call because obviously Aberdeen off the back of a massive win against Hearts. I think giving Kevin Nisbet the captaincy could be a masterstroke for Stephen Robinson. I think that responsibility will bring him on another level, and he'll go and score 20-25 goals for Aberdeen. So I'm going to go for 2 each. I think there'll be goals in this game. I'm going to go for 2 each. It's hard to call a winner.
They were rotten against Hearts, weren't they? Let's be honest.
They were poor for 70 minutes. And
Aberdeen flipped things when you. I mean, let's be honest.
Okay, I'm going to go 1-1 Dundee Aberdeen.
Go with that.
Yeah.
I'm going 1-1.
Yeah, so we're all there in a draw for this one. Can't separate them. St Mirren against St Johnstone. Well, what do you make of them, Parksy? St Mirren got the win against Falkirk, and the boy Phillips looks as if he's well up for it.
It was excellent. He's did exactly what you would want. A guy trying to play for a move. Clearly, he was the biggest threat. He scored 2 good goals. Could have scored maybe 3 or 4. He's playing more advanced. He's definitely got something about him. Physical edge. Craig McLeish is trying to play a different kind of way. He's not going for percentages. He's trying to be thoughtful and get his players to play. Motherwell-esque. I thought they were good. I didn't think they were great. I thought they were playing against a Falkirk team. You've got to kind of gauge where Falkirk are. But St Mirren at home beat St Johnstone for me, and I think 2-1 looks good.
2-1, yeah, got 2-1.
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously good. St Johnstone got that win, but some of the goals they lost were poor. So I'm going to go a home win, 2-1.
I don't think St Johnstone looked great at the back last week. The two centre-halves looked cagey. I'm going to go for 4-3 St Mirren.
What?
I'm going to go for 4-3 St Mirren.
Honestly, I get through the whole programme without actually looking
I'm
at it.
going to go for 4-3 St Mirren. I think there's goals.
Said a few ridiculous things.
Honestly, I think there's goals. I think
What was that phrase?
both of these teams play
without the ball.
open, expansive football.
Yeah.
I think there'll be goals galore in this game. If you're looking for goals, go to St Mirren Park, 4-3.
Yeah, that's the best line you've had, actually. That's the catchphrase from today. He's better without the ball, which really...
Some players are, Parks, you know that, Parks, eh?
Well, I hope it's none of the strikers.
Some dogs in there in the middle of the park.
Yep. Let me tell you this, everybody loves getting a new kit for the season. You obviously like to walk out there and just get the chest puffed out, especially if you're part of a team. And with that in mind, let's not forget, not only have we had the Predictor, but with Hummel here in our Hummel studios, we've got a fantastic competition for mums and dads for any of your kids, boys or girls, who are looking for a team kit.
Hummel. Let's play.
How would you like to win a full Hummel team kit for your boys or girls team? Well, you can in our fabulous competition, and it's absolutely free to enter. PLZ Soccer and Hummel have teamed up together to give you the chance to win the full kit. And here's how easy it is to enter.
Entry is completely free. Simply click the link below and enter using one verified email address. One lucky team will win a full Hummel kit for 16 players, including shirts, shorts and socks. Terms and conditions apply, so don't miss out. Enter today.
That is a great competition, absolutely fantastic. Every now and then we allow somebody the ability to type, and Tam...
I can't believe you can type, Tam. That's
yeah,
impressive.
absolutely. And somebody's had a...
2 fingers.
Somebody's had a real go at you. Who was it? He says Tam was on target once. Lanky Dyson is not happy with you, but you've just fired back at him, Tam. You scored goals against Celtic and Rangers, didn't you?
Yep. 2 of the best goals you've ever seen. So look them up, Lanky Dyson. One against Celtic where I turned Val Haran, put it in the top corner, and then one against Rangers when I put it in the top corner via Champions League goalkeeper.
You tell him, Tam. You tell him.
And
I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it now. Sick of the abuse.
And now you can see why on Twitter he throws everything out and, you know, gets the petted lip and fires back at people, whereas I don't think there's any need whatsoever to fire back at anybody on social media, because, as you know, while it's a great tool for everybody to communicate, some of the people who are on it are not the full shilling. Anyway, that's it. Brilliant. Listen, I hope you've enjoyed our competitions. I hope you get involved in it. If you get a chance, hit the subscribe button on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. We're certainly looking forward to handing out the prizes to the 3 at the top of Predictor. You see, even if you take part, we'll be handing out prizes as well. Great chat today. Catchphrase has got to be, we must get a t-shirt. How good is that player? He's better when he's not on the ball. That has got to be... he's better when he's not on it.
Can I just say in his defence, Davy Farrell was that kind of player.
Oh, Davy. 100% apologies.
Brilliant player, right, to have in your team.
Peter Grant.
Peter Grant, another great example.
Can I just say to you, having watched Peter Grant being kicked this week, let me tell you, Peter Grant was not a player who was not good on the ball.
He burned my team.
Absolutely, he was good on the ball, Peter Grant. Let me tell you that. Let's not go down that road. Anyway, apart from anything else, thanks to Tam, thanks to Ruffy, thanks to Gordon Parks, and thanks to you for joining us. Don't forget, like, share and follow if you can, subscribe. And also coming up later on this evening, you'll be able to catch up with Peter Elder. He's an ecstatic Motherwell fan, joined us on the Fan Zone to talk all things Motherwell. Hopefully you'll pick that up on our YouTube channel as well. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the football.
Aye, I did, Chris.
But a drummer. See you outside.
I did, Chris.